Well, let's go to something that a lot of us are missing here in Lagos. Hosting an event in Nigeria, be it a wedding, birthday party, or other celebrations, it involves a chain of activities put together that form a thriving industry worth billions of naira. But the coronavirus pandemic has changed the way things are done, and event planners in Nigeria have had to adjust their businesses to fit into the new reality. From planning for smaller gatherings to virtual events, COVID-19 has indeed impacted the pomp and pageantry usually associated with parties in Nigeria. Tell me about that. Well, I have joining me in the studio, Oluwafunmi Akinyosoye. She's an event planner and CEO of Dunamis Events. It's good to have you join us in the studio.
Thank you for having me.
Of course, Friday, it's always, the preamble to Saturday.
Exactly.
Where we have the Owambe, all the events, your clothes, the tailors are working.
You
can
say that again.
So, but looking at what the coronavirus pandemic has done, how would you regard or, rate the level of patronage pre-COVID-19 and during the pandemic?
It's not something you can't even relate them. They're like unrelatable. They look like they're miles apart. Like you can't even say, oh, this was what it was like before COVID, because like it's just like a total new world, like a new normal.
Tell us about the new world. Tell us about what has changed from then till now. So tell us some of the things that have changed.
A lot has changed. For example, now, now because it's the new normal, everybody is talking about safety precautions for their, event. Everybody wants to stay safe and all of that. So we've had to pivot into not just having a normal event. Right now, what we have is always like maybe what we call the hybrid event. A hybrid event, then we have virtual events. That's what's happening now. On a normal day before, you don't see that happening. People would just be like,
come out to their numbers.
You don't come out to their numbers. You have all the gele, you have all the exactly. But now, we have come to accept. Well, we're not used to it yet, but we've come to accept the fact that look, we've got to be able to creatively still live our lives and still celebrate as with the COVID-19 in place.
Okay, so talking about celebrating, despite of the pandemic, let's look at what the events look like now. We see that a lot of persons are doing virtual events. So you see someone celebrating birthday party in his house, and then you call everybody join Zoom.
Exactly.
So how do you plan that?
Well, what we do first and foremost is we need to know, as an event company, what we started with was what are the things we need to have in place to be able to have a successful virtual event. Like, you need a very good, internet service provider. Everything has to be top notch. Then it's more of logistics now. You need to have your logistics top notch. Like, for example, some events we've planned, we've had to deliver food to the different invitees.
How tasky is that?
You don't even want to know. It is very, but you need to have your back-end processes really, really top-notch, like irrespective of if, a place is locked, maybe the roads are locked down, like you have the third mainland now that is on lockdown, and you have to make sure that, everything has to be precise. There's no Nigerian time about this anymore now. You have to know that, look, you're working, everything has become like a global village. So you cannot say, oh, it was because of so happened on the road, or there was traffic, or there was something. You have to just be precise. Like, there is no time for error of parallax. Everything has to be 101% now. So we have to do a lot of back-end processing, making sure everybody has their food before we now say, wow, it's time for the Zoom, and let's get the party started. So there's a whole lot.
Very interesting. But, as much as there is work for the event planners, it's like the clients are paying more for less, because now they're not even having the usual family gatherings anymore. So they're paying more.
Well, I'll say not for less. Maybe now there's less social interaction, because we don't get the hugs and the kisses and,
And the photographs.
Exactly, the selfies, But at the same time, now that you have, when you have a smaller number of people to plan for, so if there's any mistake, it's very obvious. You see it, plainly that, look, these people made, a total fuck. So that makes us want to always think on our toes, because now you have to know that, look, every detail counts. Like you cannot just tell, the caterer cannot just bring in just any kind of charger plates, not any kind of food. You have to make sure that all the guidelines and precautionary measures are taken. A whole lot of, you know,
planning is
planning
involved.
processes. So you have to, now it's more details. And you know, detail is luxury, actually. So it's not like they're paying less. They're paying more for less. I would say now, you know, we have to take cognizance of a lot of details. And because of that, I'm sure you know that's even going to cost more revenue. So they're just getting a value, you know.
So let's talk about how this will change the event, you know, industry, the event planning industry. We've seen what it's been able to cough out billions of naira, you know, and revenue for the government and even for the event planners. But let's see how it's going to evolve. Do you see us going back to pre-COVID-19, or we're just still going to maintain these virtual meetings, birthday parties, weddings with 20 guests?
I don't agree. I say that Nigerians we're social creatures. We love to interact with ourselves. I'm sure you know that.
Yeah, we do.
That it's in Nigeria, you would say that this event is strictly by invite, and people will bring in like about 3 people.
Friends.
That's how it is. So I don't see us, you know, getting used to that. This new normal. I think we would, as time goes on, migrate back. It's just that now we're going to be more careful, maybe less people on the tables, maybe a table of 9 will sit 5, or some, you know, so many other precautionary measures. Like, for example, the ones we've taken now are events that have to be in person. We have the temperature checks at the door, you have the hand washing, you know, we take, you know, precautionary measures to make sure that all the clients are safe. Like, sorry, not clients now, all the attendees, the guests are safe enough to be able to attend the event without having to go back home and, you know, come down with
the virus.
Yeah, exactly, come down with the
so
virus.
So you say that Nigerians will still go back to partying?
We so love it. We so love our home on this. There's no way. No way. We have to go back. We are surely going back.
Of course, we miss those days where we have to go to parties and, you know just
and the after parties.
And the after parties. We miss it. Oluwafunmi Akinyosoye, CEO, Dunamis Events, thank you so much for your time on TVC Breakfast.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Now, the point there is we have partying and enjoying life is part of our lives in Nigeria. And in fact, people outside of Nigeria, it's part of the energy they see Nigerians with. Any little event, let us party and celebrate. But the pandemic came and swept all of that away. But talk to us basically, what has changed between that time and now?
Well, the event space has definitely changed because due to the COVID pandemic. And because of...
All right. Yeah, Fumbi, let me put you on a hold a bit. Right. We have to take a message now and then we come back on this. Stay with us on TVC Breakfast. All right, you're watching TVC Breakfast. Before we went on that short interlude there, we were talking about the issues of events and how we approach them, especially with the coming of the new normal, COVID-19. And we have Oluwafunmi in the studio. She's an event planner. Now, I was asking you earlier, basically, what has changed? And you were taking us on the memory lane.
A lot. Quite a lot has changed in the event stratosphere. For example, most times, people we're relatable people. Like we like to relate with each other.
We like to engage.
Exactly, engage each other. So having an event where you don't even get to see the client, you have to start talking virtually, has moved, it has changed the whole, scene of event planning. Like you see, for example, let me just take you through something. Like, for example, someone calls me, I'm having a graduation for my son. And we're going to have a Zoom party, because even the graduation itself from the school is Zoom. So he's not even attending the event.
How do people hold Zoom parties anyway? How does that work?
God help us. God help us. We're getting used to it. There's a lot of learning, unlearning, and relearning on our own side, because as the honors are falling upon us as the people that are going to be to present you as an event as a client to your guests. Okay. So you have to know everything. You cannot even there are no gray areas. It's either black or white. So you have to do a lot of relearning to know, look at these are the processes. Okay, this is how to do a Zoom. For example, when this thing first started, I didn't realize there was a Zoom that needed to be paid for, and all of that. So we grappled a bit with, some of the back-end processes. Okay. But now we had to, get used to it, and, this is it. And now you know that you need a digital team. That was not the case before. You don't need a digital team to plan an event, But when this thing started, I remember there was a conference, a worldwide conference I was meant to hold, and he held digitally, and people did, and I'm like, wow, we need to get on this moving train.
One thing at an event where before now, pre-COVID-19, people will wait for the special guests and the VIPs to arrive, and sometimes 45 minutes or even 1 hour into the show before those persons arrive. COVID-19 has taken care of that now, where there's no African, so-called
exactly.
African time.
I said that earlier, no African time anymore. You have to just be precise and concise with your timing. You cannot say, you know what, I'm going to get there, there's traffic on 3rd Milan. Nothing like that. You just have to be right in front of your computer. And I think that has helped a lot to be able to put, timing, to help our time management.
But the way things are now, has it reduced the amount of money or investment into event planning?
Yes, it has. It has considerably reduced. And now, like I said, there are so many details now that you really need to look into. You cannot just afford to have a roughshod event. You have to, plan, replan, and keep, checking your I's, dot your I's, cross your T's. A lot of things that we didn't used to think about before. I can say that we have to go back to our drawing board and really re-strategize on how to make sure that your event is top-notch. And like I said, too, you have to think of a lot of logistics. So this is good for the logistics company, as against, other people that are in the event industry. Because logistically now you need to be able to do deliveries of different things to various places.
So I'm organizing a Zoom meeting. I still have to distribute food to everyone who attended.
Well, not necessarily, but yes, it would just be good to be able to at least do that. We always tell people, for example, we did one recently. It was a 60th birthday, and it was a drive-through event. Oh. Nobody stopped. Everybody they were all in their cars, and they just hung their horns, and they went round about greeting the celebrant. And all their foods and all that was prepacked with the souvenirs.
Packaged.
Exactly, and we just handed it out to them.
I think I like that one. All right, Funmi, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for having me.
And we wish you well in what you do as well.
Thank you very much. Thank you.